1989, Chris Wallace' The Fly 2 weird through cinemas. US production with an R rating had a secret budget and made worldwide $40 million. Assuming a similar budget as Part 1, $15 million, it just pulled purely its costs back and at least did not lose any money. The original was also the template for The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 18 segment Fly vs. Fly in 1997. The Fly is a 1958 US science fiction horror movie by Kurt Neumann. It is based on the same named short story by George Langeland, which appeared 1957 in the June edition of the Playboy magazine. The exciting story has pretty much the same plot as the movie. A scientist is found dead, his head and arm crushed in a hydraulic press. Although his wife confesses the crime but does not want to give any information about the motive, the brother of the scientist does not let go and even lies to her to get the story. Her husband was researching a teleportation device. In a self-experiment, he overlooked a fly, and the device crossed the two. He now has a giant fly head and a fly arm, while the fly flies away with a human head. In the original story, he has, thanks to an early failed experiment with a cat fly head. To reverse this, the scientist needs the fly, but he can't get hold of it. In the end, he asks his wife to kill him and destroy his research. The movie is very well made, has an eerie atmosphere and is, like the original, quite rightly considered a classic. The final scene with the fly and the spider is just brilliant. In 1959 we get The Return of the Fly. Here we see the son as he continues the research of his father. And of course he gets to repeat the fly number through plot conveniences. The movie is as needed as the plague, and not even the completely exaggerated overacting of Vincent Price offers real entertainment value. Curse of the Fly from 1965 was rarely seen for many years, since it was the only film in the Fly franchise which has received no video or laserdisc release. In 2007 he came out in a box set with the other two movies. It is about an institution performing tests with a teleportation device. Also, some relatives of the fly scientists have something to do with it whatsoever. He is deadly boring and without stay-awake pills impossible to get through. In 1986 came the remake from David Cronenberg. The scientist Seth Brundle is working on a device for teleportation. Following a successful test with a baboon, he decides to teleport himself, unaware that a common housefly has slipped inside the transmitter pod. So the computer treats them as one being, and Brundle emerges from the receiving pod seemingly normal. First he has increased strength, but he continues to change, losing various body parts and turning into a human fly monster hybrid, the Brundle Fly. The Fly is a masterpiece. The cast A+, and the score by Howard Shore eerily fits in every scene. The many practical effects by Chris Wallace still hold up even today. It is, next to John Carpenter's The Thing, the prime example of a successful remake that leaves the original far behind and has moved the bar for horror movies a long way to the top. I would have loved to see it on the big screen, but since I was underaged I wasn't allowed to. What the fuck. When I finally turned 18, a horror movie was actually just playing at the cinema. The Fly 2 is about the son of the scientist from Part 1. Martin Brundle is born in the laboratory of the company Bartok Inc. The mother dies during his birth. Martin evolves extremely fast and has an enormous intelligence, but he suffers from the prison-like conditions of his forced isolation. Over time, he starts to physically change, and thanks to old video recordings, he learns about his father's transformation. This fate also awaits Martin. He develops a method of healing, but for that he has to merge with a healthy organism, which then in turn takes care of his genetic defect. This movie is pure trash. The story of the son of the fly is so sloppily fudged together, just like they have started filming with no finished script. Absolutely nothing makes here any kind of sense. The whole movie only serves as an excuse for some gory effects, and that's it. The plot is a bad joke, the actors perform as if they were not even in the same movie, and the motivation of the pro or antagonists are till now a well-kept secret. Special effects expert Chris Wallace belongs in his compartment to the top of his league, with movies like Indiana Jones or Gremlins. For his effects on The First Fly, he got in 1987 a well-earned Oscar and gave his directional debut with this turd. And it shows. The movie has a certain trash entertainment value, and the only positive is the music by Christopher Young, which transforms worthless garbage in worthless garbage with a brilliant score, just like in Boogeyman, Firestarter, The Soldier, Sleepwalkers, and so on.